Oh, hello, it is cold, it is blustery, it is so wet and rainy, and it's the perfect time to get cozy for Christmas. Honestly, I'm so ready to be in the Christmas spirit. And so that's exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to be making a Christmassy style cake, a natural garland to decorate the house with, a Yorkshire pudding brie and cranberry style Christmas side plate. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a cozy time, and I'm looking forward to bringing you in our cottage in our cozy homemaking season. Right, so let's get started on our cake. Now, I seem to have forgotten where I keep everything in this kitchen for some reason. So let's go. So second thoughts, I'm actually going to start with the Yorkshire puddings first, because I really like a Yorkshire pudding batter to sit in the fridge for as long as possible, just to make it really cold, to contrast it with the hot temperature of your muffin tray. So that being said, take a muffin tray and add in about a teaspoon to a tablespoon-ish in your tray, and put that in the oven for as long as you can on the highest heat that you can. Now, this is probably going to be in for 20 minutes or so, but ideally you do it a bit longer. I normally have a very specific recipe that I use for Yorkshire puddings, but I'm going to try out a new one today. And so into here, I'm going to immersion blend up 100 grams of plain flour, 2 eggs, 100 milliliters of milk, a half teaspoon of salt, and immersion blend it up. You can whisk it up, but I think it's much easier to use an immersion blender. I actually don't think this is going to be enough, so I'm going to double it. I'm going to do 200 grams of flour, 200 milliliters of milk, and 4 eggs, because this is not looking like enough. Make sure you're scraping down the sides of the bowl. It's important that this is as lump-free as possible, and that's why I'm using an immersion blender, because I think it just really, well, it does just that. I think that's gonna be done now, so I'm gonna put this in the fridge for as long as it takes for me to make the Yorkshire puddings. But probably, I don't really know, an hour or so. Again, as long as possible. This as cold as possible, your Yorkshire pudding tins as hot as possible. You've got a winning combo. Oh, I've got too many sourdough pizzas rising in here. Not enough room. That'll do. I just had a quick playback of that video and noticed my hair. And funnily enough, before I went out in the rain this morning, my hair was a perfect, maybe not perfect, but my hair was a lovely blowout situation that I had worked hard for, because I've got such long hair, so it takes a lot of work. But anyway, it's no longer, so you'll just have to ignore that. I'm sure you didn't even notice, nor do you care, but I noticed it, so I thought I'd let you know. The next thing I'm going to make is a spiced orange, sounds fancy, spiced orange and cranberry, except not cranberry, dried fruit, because I don't have any cranberries, Christmas cake, and it's going to have that kind of warm mixed spice feeling. It's going to be super yummy, hopefully. I haven't made it before, so I'm experimenting along with you. So that's going to be interesting, but hopefully it turns out okay. It's quite a simple recipe. We're going to use some self-raising flour and some butter. I made this butter earlier in the week. Hopefully if I have enough. If I don't, I'll have to quickly whip up some more. But let's get started making this spiced orange loaf cake. My little curveball is that I have run out of baking powder entirely, so I'm just going to quickly make some. It's super easy. If you've got baking powder and, if you've got bicarbonate of soda and cream of tartar, you can just mix those together and use that in your recipe instead. But I'm just going to fill up my jar with some. In order for it to be shelf stable, I'm going to add a little bit of corn flour in there to absorb any of the moisture and keep kind of odors out and things like that. So I'm going to do 20 grams of bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, and then I'm going to do 40 grams of cream of tartar. And then about 10 to 15 grams of corn flour or cornstarch. Just gonna mix it. Okay, this is definitely not a tight seal. I think I need to go in with a little fork or something. Okay, let's carry on. So for this recipe, you'll need softened butter, honey, 3 eggs, self-raising flour, a touch of mixed spice, some dried cranberries. That would be the preference, but of course I'm using mixed fruit today, and of course a lovely fresh orange. So we're going to start by beating your softened butter until it's light and creamy, and then drizzle in the honey. Now I'm going to use honey today because I just wanted to use a bit of an unrefined version, unrefined sugar-free. Refined sugar-free even, and it won't go pale like sugar does, but it will give that most beautiful kind of natural sweetness. We're going to add in our eggs one at a time, mixing really well after each one, and this helps the cake feel kind of lovely and light. And then we're going to fold in the self-raising flour, a teaspoon of the homemade baking powder, the mixed spice, fresh orange zest, and a squeeze of juice. So I'm trying to avoid the really white bits of the orange here because I think that gives it quite a bitter taste. So I'm just wanting to get the surface of the orange, not the white bit, as much as I can. I'm going to save this and use it in some immunity boosting juice a little later on. And this is where the cake becomes festive, and the orange and the spices just smell incredible. It's so nice. So we're going to stir through a generous handful of the dried fruit to add the sweetness and the colour and that lovely chewy texture, and then spoon the batter into a lined loaf tin and smooth the top. Definitely a bit of a plonk and go when it comes to parchment paper. But if you do make it wet, it does make it nice and supple. So it's easier to be a plonk and go. If it's a little thick, just add a splash of milk. Honey cakes can vary depending on the honey you're using, but we're going to bake that at 170 degrees for around 50 to 60 minutes until the skewer comes out clean. And honey browns faster than sugar, so if the top gets a bit too golden, just cover it loosely with foil. And once it's baked, we're going to let it cool before slicing, and you can leave it as it is, or I mixed a little icing sugar and orange juice drizzle on the top, and it gives just the prettiest and most delicious topping and finish. And there we are, a soft, spicy, honey sweetened Christmas loaf that's perfect with a cup of tea on a cold afternoon like this week. It's freezing this week, and if you make this at home, let me know in the comments and let me know how it turns out for you. Okay, my eyes are super smoky from the high heat of the oven. Clearly I need to clean my oven, so it's definitely hot enough. So let's get our Yorkshire pudding mix out and get that into our Yorkshire pudding tray. Now it's going to be hot and we need to do this fast. So we're going to pour it all over and then whack it straight back in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Not opening the oven, let them rise. And then we're going to fill our Yorkshire puddings with delicious, yummy things. You can hold a spoon over here so that it doesn't drip over the sides. I probably should have done that, but there is no time. Just get it back in. Gonna get some brie chopped up into small cubes here, and then when the Yorkshire puddings are finished, we'll put this inside and then put it back into the oven to roast again for around about 1 minute with the cranberry sauce. However, I do not have cranberry sauce, turns out, so I'm gonna just use some red currant jelly instead. I'm also tempted to use my homemade raspberry jam, but I think that the red currant jelly would just have a slightly more similar flavour to cranberry sauce. So yesterday, while those are cooking in the oven, I'm going to change gears for a second and just tell you about some laundry detergent that I made a few days ago, which has been turning out really, really well. So I'll insert all the clips here of how I made it and tell you how I made it. And this is the update on it a few days later. Now I made 5 gallons, I think, which is in my huge bucket, and I'll show you how I did it. And it has been a few days, and every time I use it, I've decanted some into a smaller jar. I just shake it up and put it into the washing machine. Now I'm telling you this because I'm about to do some laundry, so I thought I'd update you on that, and it's been working out really, really well. Okay, so I got this recipe from the YouTube channel Our Oily House, and she has a homemade laundry soap, but I've had to adapt it for here in the UK because you can't get all of the ingredients here in the UK. So let's talk ingredients first. You will need 1 cup of borax or borax substitute. That's what I had to use because in the United States they use real borax, but here in the UK that's not sold, so we have to use borax substitute. The brand I'm using is Dry Pack, which you can get from, I think you can get from Tesco. I got mine from Amazon. And then you want 1/2 cup of soda crystals. These are super common in the UK and really great for cutting grease and softening hard water, and I do live in a hard water area. And then you want 1 bar of Castile soap. So I'm using a pure Castile bar from Dr. Bronner's. Works perfectly. I really like that soap. I've used that in the past too for hand soap and things like that. And you can also use an unscented natural soap if you prefer that. And then 30 to around 50 drops of essential oils. That is optional, you really don't have to do that. You could also soak some lavender leaves in some water for a few days and then add that, or you could do essential oils. You could use lavender, lemon, eucalyptus, whatever you love. I'm using lavender, and then you need some hot water as well. So for this recipe you'll need a bucket that's about 20 to 25 litres in size. That's about a 5-gallon bucket, and any builder's bucket works fine as long as it's got a lid. You want to grate your soap bar and use a regular cheese grater to get the soap nice and fine, and this helps it melt faster. Then you're going to melt the soap, add the grated soap to a saucepan with about 1 cup of hot water. Warm it gently until it dissolves into a smooth and creamy liquid. Then you're going to mix your dry ingredients in your big bucket, add 2 litres of hot water, 1 cup of borax substitute and 1/2 cup of soda crystals. Give it a good stir until everything dissolves. Now it does say to use hot water. I don't think I actually used hot water in mine, and mine still works great, so perhaps you don't need to use hot water. And then you're going to pour in your melted Castile soap mixture and stir well. Now this is optional, but it does smell good. You can add your essential oils at this point, and then top up the bucket with hot water until you reach around the 20 to 25 litres mark, and give it a really good stir. Now to give mine the best stir possible, I used an immersion blender and just went up and down for a while just to really mix it all together. Now thinking back, if I had used hot water it may have stirred and mixed better. So maybe next year when I've run out I will do that, but you want to give it a good stir, and immersion blender works great. And then you're going to put the lid on the bucket and cover it at least overnight. And then by the morning it will have turned into sort of a gel-like creamy laundry soap, and then you want to give that a shake. I was not capable of shaking a 5-gallon bucket, so I got my husband to do that. And then I decanted some into the jar, and I just shake that up every time before I use it, which takes just a couple seconds. So if you live in a hard water area, add a little extra soda crystals, that will help. And for super oily or greasy clothes, you can pre-treat with some liquid Castile soap, or for whites, you can add a tablespoon of bicarb or a splash of vinegar. I tend to do a splash of vinegar in the rinse. And that's it, a full batch of non-toxic laundry soap for just a few pounds, and it lasts absolutely ages, and it's working so well, and my children are messy. So do let me know if you'd like me to write the recipe down and things like that, because I was a little bit nervous to share because I thought I've never made this before, but it has turned out really, really well. So I'm super, super pleased with that. And I put about half a cup in every time I do a load of laundry, and it's going to last me like a year. So it's super cost effective and smells delicious and has worked really well. Okay, little update on the old Yorkshire puddings. My timer went off after 15 minutes, and I just quickly thought I'd quickly peep in the oven to see if they've risen. They have not. And that is a sign to always follow the recipe that you know really well and works every single time, and never change a thing. So I'm going to keep them in there and just hope that they turn out right. Now the good news is it is not Christmas just yet, so I have another chance after this to go back to my old Yorkshire pudding recipe that is very faithful and just use that one instead. But I'll check back with you in 5 minutes or so to see if these have actually done the thing that they're supposed to, and if not, they will still be edible, they just won't look that great. Never mind, always just follow your gut, follow what your gut says. I knew it. Okay, I just got them out. There is still a little bit of a fail, honestly, but you know what, I think we're just going to make it work, because that's part of the process, isn't it? And this is why we practice. So I'm going to stuff these with some cranberry, some brie, and some cranberry sauce, but red currant jelly, and then put them back in the oven for about a minute. There are a few little things I want to get done today. I'm going to finish off using some of my oranges and lemons and ginger to make some of my immunity boosting juice, and then I'm going to start actually by making an orange garland for natural, cheap, lovely home decor. I've never done it before, so we're going to see how it goes, but I'm going to start by chopping my oranges into thin slices, patting them down dry, and then putting them in the oven on a very low temperature for about 2 to 3 hours so that they're nice and dry. And then I'm going to weave through some string at the end, but I'm going to start with that, and then I'll get on to making my immunity boosting juice. You don't want the oranges too thin, otherwise they'll curl in the oven, and you don't want them too thick because they'll take forever to dehydrate. So I'm gonna just do a happy medium, hopefully. As I say, I've tried this before. How's that looking? Well, it's a good job I'm making juice, because I can have a little, this is not going very well, pile in my blender. So far, so good. I'm not sure I've cut them thin enough. We're just gonna have to see. First time for everything. At least in the oven.
That's how long it is.
Okay, I'm gonna set the timer for about 35 minutes and flip them round every 35 minutes for the next few hours, if I remember. Hopefully I do. Let's get on making some juice.
Look how long it is.
Wow. Okay, so the orange garland turned out beautiful. It was so nice, but silly me, I forgot to record it. But it basically looks like dried orange on a string. If you can picture that. It was definitely a lovely thing to do, so I definitely recommend it. The juice here was a little bit too thick, so next time I will put in more water and less kind of ingredients in the blender, or maybe blend half of it up with some water and then blend the other half. But thank you so much for joining me on these cozy Christmas time few days. It's been wonderful to have you here, and I love the community that we're building, and I'm so thankful for it. So don't forget to subscribe and join us at English Rose Cottage.